5 World Cup titles. The only nation to play in every single edition of the tournament. A shirt so heavy with history that wearing it should feel like armor. And yet, 70 million Brazilians alive right now have never seen their country lift the trophy. Not once. Let that satisfying number sink in for a second. 70 million people born into the mythology of Pelé, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, raised on stories of Joga Bonito like bedtime prayers, and not a single one of them has ever tasted that glory for themselves. The World Cup has a serious problem with Brazil. But the real question the Oracle wants to answer today is this: does Brazil have a serious problem with itself? Because what you're about to see is not a single failure. It's not one bad game, one missed penalty, one unlucky draw. This is a pattern. A 24-year pattern of structural collapse disguised behind golden jerseys and billion-dollar talent. And it starts in a place no one in the mainstream media wants to look. Not the pitch, not the locker room, but the boardroom of the CBF itself. Rewind to the qualifying campaign for this very tournament. Brazil, the greatest footballing nation in history, finished 5th in CONMEBOL qualifying. 5th. 8 wins, 4 draws, 6 losses. That's not a blip. That's the worst qualifying campaign the Seleção has ever recorded. Ever. In over 100 years of organized football. While Argentina cruised and Colombia surged, Brazil was stumbling through a coaching carousel that would make a telenovela writer blush. Tight left. Ramon Menezes came in as interim. Then Fernando Diniz tried to reinvent the wheel. Then Dorival Jr. attempted to stabilize the wreckage. 4 coaches in one cycle, and none of them could stop the bleeding. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. While this footballing crisis unfolded on the pitch, an even darker one was brewing off it. FIFA, the organization that has historically bent over backwards to protect its biggest commercial asset, threatened to suspend the CBF. To suspend Brazil from international football entirely. The reason? Government interference in the federation's leadership that violated FIFA's own statutes on political independence. For a brief, surreal window, the 5-time world champions were closer to being banned from the tournament than winning it. Just like we uncovered in the Portugal collapse simulation, when the institution rots from the inside, the players on the grass are the last to know and the first to pay. And pay they did. Because into this chaos walked Carlo Ancelotti, the man who won Champions Leagues with Milan and Real Madrid. The most decorated club manager alive, hired to perform emergency surgery on a patient that had been bleeding out for years. His prescription? À 4-2-4 formation. 4 attackers. 2 midfielders holding the entire defensive line together with nothing but willpower and tactical prayer. On paper, it's a love letter to Brazilian tradition, Joga Bonito reborn in neon. In practice, it's a high-wire act performed without a net, 60,000 feet above sea level. Now, understand what Ancelotti was trying to do. Brazil's squad in 2026 is overloaded with attacking talent. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Rafinha, Gabriel Martinelli, Endrick, Savinho. The problem was never creating chances. The problem was, and still is, what happens when those 4 attackers lose the ball in the opponent's half and Case Moreau and Bruno Guimarães are left staring at a 4-on-2 counterattack screaming toward Alisson's goal. The 4-2-4 is designed to overwhelm. But against organized European defenses, the kind that sit deep, absorb pressure, and strike on the break with surgical precision, it creates a paradox. The very system built to unleash Brazil's greatest strength simultaneously exposes its most critical weakness. And that weakness has a name that no one in the Brazilian media wants to say out loud: midfield control. Look at the data. In 2006 in Germany, Brazil had Ronaldinho, Kaká, Ronaldo, Adriano, arguably the most talented squad ever assembled. They were eliminated in the quarterfinals by France. The midfield was overrun. In 2014 at home, in front of their own people, in the suffocating humidity of Belo Horizonte, Germany put 7 goals past them in a single half. The midfield didn't just collapse, it evaporated. In 2018, Belgium eliminated them in the quarterfinals in Kazan, exploiting the exact same transitional gaps between midfield and defense. In 2022, Croatia, a nation with a population smaller than the city of Sao Paulo, held them, broke them psychologically, and beat them on penalties after Brazil conceded a devastating equalizer in the final minutes of extra time. 4 consecutive World Cups. 4 quarterfinal exits or worse. And in every single one, the autopsy report reads the same: defensive transition failure, midfield exposure, psychological fragility under pressure. This is the same pattern the Oracle detected in the Haiti Diaspora Squad report. Generational talent that can't translate into collective resilience when the stakes reach their absolute peak. And here we are again. July 2026. The biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 3 host nations, stadiums packed to the sky across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Brazil squeezed past Japan 2-1 in the round of 32, and they needed a stoppage time goal from Martinelli to do it. A stoppage time goal. Against Japan. The 5-time world champions, clinging to survival in the 93rd minute against a team that had never won a World Cup knockout match. The celebrations in the Brazilian camp told the whole story. It wasn't the joy of dominance. It was the relief of escape. Now they face Norway in the round of 16. If they survive that, England or Mexico likely await in the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals, Brazil's graveyard for 2 decades running. And Ancelotti knows it. You can see it in his press conferences. The measured words, the careful deflections, the way he talks about balance and adaptation, while his 4-2-4 teeters between genius and self-destruction. He's spoken about shifting to a 4-2-3-1, or even a 3-4-3 depending on the opponent. But the question hanging over everything is whether any formation can fix a problem that isn't tactical at all, it's existential.